It's the 26th of October. This is Rabbi Furst. We're doing Tanna, deBei, Eliyahu.
Okay, very good. Bez Hashem, we're starting a new limud, new Zman and limud, and so Bez Hashem, we'll hopefully have lots to learn and lots to question and lots to hopefully answer as well, Bez Hashem. Okay,
Day at 8:25.
let's
Great, thank you.
I could have gotten it earlier, but I wanted it in the morning, so I put it for Thursday. Thursday, 8:25, October the 30th. I'm right here.
let's go now. Who would like to read?
I would.
Okay, go ahead. You can begin.
Okay. Vayigrash es ha'adam Bereshis Gimel. What is Vayigrash?
Right, so this is a pasuk in the Torah. This is a pasuk in you look there in Bereshis Perek Gimel Chav Dalid. Right, this is a pasuk we had two Shabbosim ago in Parshas Bereshis. After the Chet Eitz Hadas, so Kadosh Baruch Hu, as part of the consequences of Adam Rishon's disobedience and eating of the Eitz Hadas, he was driven from Gan Eden.
Right. So Vayigrash means to drive out.
Well, it's Yigrash. It's more technically considered like to be a divorce, a complete separation, complete irrevocable separation. If you have a chumash there, take a look at the chumash. It'll tell you about that.
Okay. I don't have it here. I was reading it on Shabbos, so
No problem.
I'll look it up. I'll look it up later
No problem.
because I'm not sure exactly where it is right now.
All right.
Milamed she Natan lo Hakadosh Baruch Hu Girushin Kasher to teach us that Hashem gave to him a separation that was difficult.
Excuse me?
That was difficult. Kasher.
No, here the kasher here it's
Isha.
Keisha. There's no resh there. Yerushin Keisha.
Isha, like a woman.
Right, like a woman, right? That's just like a man. He divorces his wife,
Right.
right? So in driving Adam from Gan Eden, there was a separation like that of a husband and a wife that part because of a divorce.
Okay. Vayishkan Mikedem
This is a this is a continuation of the pasuk, right? Adam was driven out of Gan Eden, right? And
right.
the Yeshach Mikedem leGan Eden, and he dwelled Mikedem in the east. Kedem is one understanding of the word Kedem is it's the east. The east he went and dwelt to the east of Gan Eden.
Es ha keruvim. Let's see, keruvim. Those are the angels.
Right, those were the angels there. You see the pasuk there, Mary? If you have the pasuk, maybe you can read the pasuk and explain it. No, that'll focus everyone Learn what
Okay.
the
Let's see. This was 324. It says, and having driven out the man, he stationed at east of the Garden of Eden, the Cheruvim, and the flame of the ever turning sword to guard the way to the tree of life.
Okay, so now, so how do we understand what that pasuk? You just push an understanding of the pasuk.
That's
That
a
Adam was driven out of Gan Eden, and he Baruch Hu, to the east of the Gan. Kadosh Baruch Hu set up the Kruvim, and their sword, the flame, was guarding his entrance. They should never again approach the Eitz Chaim. So now, so what does the Tanna deBei have to say about this?
Milamed she hakruvim kodmin lemaaseh bereshis. Teach us about the angels. What's code mean?
They preceded.
That they preceded the creation?
My Bereshis, they preceded the act of creation. They preceded the act of Bereshis, of creation.
How does this teach us that?
From the word kedim, the fact that they were mikedim, the yashkein mikedim l'gan Eden. The Kruvim were there previous. What's previous? Previous. If you say something was previous to something, it's previous to something. So what is it previous to? So here, Chazal, the Rabbi Tanna deBei Eliyahu, are giving us an insight that the Kruvim were previous to the act of creation.
Okay. V'es lahate ha-charav ha-mis hafkas
Misapeches.
hamisakefes. What is that?
Right. This is also part of the pasuk, right? Es halet acherev. The cherev is the sword. Halet the
the ever-turning sword, I think.
right. That's misapeches is turning, and lahet is like the gleam from the sword. When you see a highly polished, highly sharpened sword, it gleams. The light will be reflected with the gleam. So the gleam of the sword that was turning. So what's that indicating? That's an indication of Zeh Gehenna. That was the symbolic reference from this pasuk to Gan Eden.
Gan Eden or Gehenna?
Gehenna.
So
The sword, this obviously is an object of punishment, retribution, right? So this is the symbolic symbolization of the place of retribution, which is Gehenna. So we have a few different things here that we're being taught. One, that the Kruvim preceded Maisa Bereshis. So this is an insight in general. something we should bear in mind and know that when the Torah is describing for us Ma'aseh Bereshis, it's not limiting. We're not limited. Chazal understood quite clearly that the narrative of the creation, as stated in the Torah itself, there were many things that existed previously, right? And it was not completely a absolute creation of everything. Many things existed previously to the act of creation. Act of creation was a specific starting point, and the Kadosh Baruch Hu began his communication with the Jewish people in terms of forging a relationship with them. But there are many things that were there previously. In this case, the proving being one thing that was there previous to the act of creation. Act of creation is a limited, focused narrative describing in ways we can hopefully understand it, the inception, beginning of this world as we know it. But there are many things that are beyond and beyond time and space of this world. And those things existed previously.
So we can deduce that Gehenna existed previous. Gehenna was one of the things that existed previous.
Yeah, I think the Gemara says that. The Gemara says that, if I'm not mistaken, 7 things existed previous to the Ma'aseh Bereshis. I can try and find the Gemara. Yeah. Maybe more. Maybe I'm not sure. Um, might be more than 7 things. But I think it's a Gemara in Chagigi, if I'm not mistaken.
Good morning.
You don't have any plans?
I'm in it.
You don't look like you're in.
I'm looking something up.
Oh, okay.
Okay, let's continue in the meantime.
Okay. Lishmor es derech, to guard the way. Zu derech eretz. This is derech eretz. Meaning what? Proper behavior?
Okay, so now that's going to be that is a Gemara itself as well. Derech Eretz has different connotations, right? So let's leave that exactly. Let's go along without a working definition of Derech Eretz for the time being, and maybe we'll come back to that.
Okay. Milamed shederech eretz kadma l'chol. To teach us that derech eretz comes before everything. I'm familiar with the phrase "derech eretz kadma Torah."
Hold on. Continue. Let's continue on.
Eitz hachayim, the tree of life. Ein eitz chayim ella Torah. The only thing that eitz chayim means is Torah.
Right. Eitz Chaim, the expression Eitz Chaim is a reference to Torah.
So it's saying derech eretz is guarding the way to the Torah.
Right, very good.
Very interesting. Shene'emar eitz chayim hi l'machazikim ba v'kulei. As it says, a tree of life it is to those who grasp it.
Right. So,
And we know from context that that's talking about the Torah.
right. So let's put all this together again. These last few statements, that shomer l'shomer es derech, to guard the way, zu derech eretz, that's derech eretz. Now, the way is that's derech eretz. Melamed derech eretz kadmin l'kol. You see that from this the derech eretz precedes everything. Now Eitz Chaim. Now what's the Eitz Chaim? Eitz Chaim is the derech eretz. It's the derech which is leading to the Eitz Chaim, and that's a reference to Torah. Now it says Eitz Chaim hi makazikim bo, and that's the proof that Eitz Chaim is a reference to Torah. So now you have derech eretz is what's leading you towards Torah. Derech eretz leads you towards Torah, and that way to Torah is being guarded. That way, meaning that way of derech eretz, the derech eretz is being guarded. There's obviously there's not access. You don't have free access to Torah. Number one, you see from this, there's no free access to Torah, and this also somewhat fits into what you were saying, Lou. Derech eretz is kadmon the Torah, right?
Right?
First of all, I think to help try and understand, we first have to come up with some type of a clearer definition of derech eretz. Let's see here, one moment. Okay. Let me try and just going to try and give you a working definition of what we can perhaps try and understand what derech eretz means in this context.
Oh, that's a good question. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So simple. Not so simple. Second. I'll tell you just off the cuff. Derech Eretz, in its most basic um, definition, means like common sense, logic, common sense. Okay, it also can mean uh, what in English we call like etiquette or proper social behavior, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
proper conduct. Yeah. Okay.
proper conduct, right? Proper conduct, right? Um, so you have one thing. It's common sense, uh, proper conduct. It can mean uh, earning earning a livelihood, meaning it can mean marital marital responsibilities and relations. Those, I think, basically the four basic understandings of what their affairs
Mm.
is. Um, Derech Eretz can also mean responsible, like social responsibility, like to the government, things like this. Old Derech Eretz could mean the responsibility to the governing bodies, or it could mean responsibility to your own family. But like a lot of these things are really uh, subdivisions of the basic meaning of the word, which is simply common sense. Person has common sense. The things Derek Eretz in many ways means that he is behaving according to the way his logic, his basic common sense requires him to behave. And that'll include his fulfilling his responsibilities to his family, to his neighbors, to his nation, to his people.
Mm.
Mhm. Right. So it's most the best working definition we'll try and go for right now is it means a basic, clear, clear, basic common sense, which is that's really going to include all the other things too. Person has basic common sense, that's going to include for him the fulfillment of all his basic responsibilities, and without that, the person, that's what we say, how would we say, Ein derech eretz ein Torah, or derech eretz kadmul Torah. The person has to have that basic, fundamental sense of responsibility, according to basic common sense, basic sense of responsibility. So, so that's going to be the prerequisite to Torah. If you don't have that, it's very difficult to fulfill the Torah. The Torah requires of us to do many things which, simply based on common sense, we wouldn't necessarily feel or understand to be obligated in. So, by having derech eretz, person's already on the road to fulfilling his basic obligations in life, right? If a person's not on the road of fulfilling his basic obligations in life, it's going to be much more difficult for him to assume the obligations of the Torah, because the Torah requires us to do many things which are beyond our basic obligations in life, right?
Mhm.
So, so that's what it could be here, that we need to have a basic, clear understanding of our, it's an innate understanding of our basic obligations. Once a person has that, so then he'll be free and he'll be more available in terms of his mental attitude. And not only that, his experience and his behavior will be more well adjusted to assuming the obligations of the Torah, which go far beyond the basic common sense obligations which a person assumes in life. Okay?
Okay, so we have to also consider the beginning of the sentence where it says Zu Gehenna.
Right.
How do we understand that? Gehenna is guarding Derek Eretz.
Yeah. So we can understand that in the following way. Gehenna, I would say, is symbolic of the general concept of reward and punishment. Right?
Right.
Um, so if a person has a clear understanding that there is such a thing as reward and punishment, that also is very instrumental in allowing him to fulfill his basic obligations, both according to his innate human rationale, that's derech eretz, and also to fulfill the obligations of the Torah itself. Person now understands that these obligations are going to have ramifications if he's going to fulfill them, and ramifications if he's not going to fulfill them. So therefore, that the way to guard the fulfillment of the Torah is through the understanding and the presence and existence of Gehenna. Now, Rav Dessler, uh, based on earlier sources as well, explains that Gehenna is a concept which, in its most simple form, is understood to be charata. Charata is regret. Regret that a person is brought into this life. Kadosh Baruch Hu provides with him with a whole environment of sustenance and existence, and that's provided for him in order that he can fulfill his tafkid, his mission in life. Right? Everyone has a mission in life, or many missions in life. A person has many different things that he is obligated to fulfill, many different missions in life, and the whole environment that has been created for the person, this world that we live in, has been created for the uh, ability for the person to realize and fulfill what he needs to do to accomplish his mission in life. And Gehenna is the regret that a person feels afterwards, that he had opportunities in this life, in this world, and he didn't fulfill them. And he had opportunities to fulfill his mission, and for some reason or other, he let them pass. And in doing so, he lost those beautiful, absolute, golden opportunities to give perfection to his soul, to his neshama. So now, when the neshama comes to Olam Haba after 120 years in this world, it comes there and it's lacking uh, various different mitzvahs and opportunities to serve a Kadosh Baruch Hu. It's going to feel a regret. So that regret is basically what Gehenna is. Gehenna is basically the experience of regret, and it's eternal, because the present state of that now situation, that a person's always now once he's beyond space and time, and he's in that the other dimension of the spiritual dimension, which is beyond space and time. So there is no time, there is no space. Everything is existing presently. So all those lost opportunities are continual regrets that it takes that first year to uh, for the neshama to adjust to the fact that he lost many golden opportunities while was here in this life. Chafetz Chaim brings a mashal that there was a person that set out, left his home, his family, and set out on an ocean voyage to a distant land because he was hopeful of doing business there, finding merchandise that was not readily available in his home country, and bringing the merchandise back to his home country and sell it for a profit. Because where it's plentiful, right, you can buy it cheaply and you can transport it then possibly to a place where it's rare, and because it's rare, you'll be able to sell it for a good profit. So the person goes to a foreign country, and he sees that this foreign country is blessed with uh, with mushrooms, and these are delicacies that he never really knew and enjoyed, because they were very rare, if at all, existing in his home country, his homeland. So the person buys very cheaply crates and crates of mushrooms, and he loads these crates of mushrooms his on the ship, and he returns to his home country. And when he comes home, everyone's looking forward to seeing him, greeting him. They're looking forward to seeing the new and different things he acquired in the distant land from his homeland. And he was hopeful, and everyone was hopeful as well, that he would sell them at a nice profit, and therefore pay for his voyage, and also pay for his expenses for, say, that year or so, right? And so they all take these crates off the boat, and they open up these crates, and they see these old rotten, smelly, slimy, decaying mushrooms. He brought mushrooms to this place. So all his efforts, his travel, his time in the foreign land, his return trip, everything was for naught. He didn't accomplish his purpose. He didn't accomplish his mission at all.
Mm.
So the Chafetz Chaim says this is a mashal for people, that a Kadosh Baruch Hu sends the neshama here into this world, and the neshama's job in this world is to fulfill the mitzvahs of Kadosh Baruch Hu, to do Ma'asim Tovim, fulfill the mitzvahs, learn Torah, help people, And if it does that, then it has something to show when it gets to the next world, something of value in the next world. But if a person's going to simply be involved with the eating and drinking and pleasures of this world, a person's going to lose out when he gets to Olam Haba. He's going to be found lacking, and he's going to have a very poor showing of what he accomplished in this world if all he can show that he was involved with the materialistic aspects of life in this world and he had no spiritual content to his life in this world. A person going to the next world, which is completely spiritual, without any spiritual accomplishments, is going to be in very sad shape. Very sad shape. So therefore, the optimal derech through this life is to invest all your time and energies as much as possible in Torah and mitzvahs and maisim tovim, Torah, Avodah, and Gemilus Kasani, and whatever needs to be done, right? If there's any other things you must do to keep your body and soul intact in this world, so you take the very least amount of time and effort to fulfill those things, and that'll be the ideal path through this life, and a person therefore will be successful based on that. But if a person's going to invest and overinvest and be overly excessive in his interest in the material aspects of this life, the gashmis of this world, and the pleasures and fun and excitement and entertainment of this world, and he's going to ignore his spiritual needs and aspirations, then, as I said, he's going to be very sadly mistaken and found failing when he gets to the next world. It's going to be a very sad situation for him and for the neshama when he gets to the next world, which is a world of complete spiritualism, ruchnius, and he's only going to go there with the life of Gashmis behind him. I heard from my Rebbe, I've probably mentioned this more than once, that my Rebbe, Shmuel Schechter, Zechron Bracha, he learned in Kelm, he learned in the Mir in Europe before World War II, Kelm after the Mir, and so they would say a story about the Alter from Kelm, the Rosh Hashiva in the Beis Talmud in Kelm. That Kelm, you should know, was a small village in Poland at the time, and it was basically a village that was built on two sides of a somewhat of a main road going through the village. And the road was cobblestone, and it was somewhat of a wide road, and people would walk along the road from one end of town to the next, going from here to there. So one time the Alter from Kelm with his Talmidim was walking through to Kelm on the main road, and cresting the hill at the other side of the road, on the other side of town, was a levaya, a funeral for a Polish peasant. And this Polish peasant had lived his whole life, a life of complete gashmias, obviously. And the levaya, the funeral, was reproaching them. So as the levaya got closer and closer, so as soon as the levaya was really close to them, so then the altar stopped and let the levaya pass by. He stopped in deference to the levaya, meaning not to simply pass by these goyim. They're mourning their loss of their friend or relative, and he didn't want the router from Kelm for the Jews to be walking callously past the levaya without any deference to the levaya. So he stopped out deference to the levaya. I'll mention just to point out that point. She was a Rosh Steinberg Zechron Bracha. On Shabbos morning, he would give a shir after the Shabbos morning, after Musaf Shabbos morning, he would give a shir, make Kiddush, and then make a shir. We learn halachas. Then we would walk back through Mountersdorf to home on Purim Road number 2. So one Shabbos morning, we were walking through Mattersdorf. The roads are closed. The road is a closed road, so you walk in the middle of the street. And an ambulance came by. An ambulance came by, so the Rashiva, as the ambulance passed by, stopped. He stopped and let the ambulance pass by. And then after the ambulance passed by, then he started walking again and continued on home to Panim route number 2. So the next morning, I asked the Rosh Yeshiva, because in general, the Rosh Yeshiva didn't talk too much on Shabbos. He had a tiny dibur on Shabbos. So next morning, after davening Shacharis, I went to the Rosh Yeshiva's office. He had an office off the base medrash main. And I asked the Rosh Yeshiva yesterday when the ambulance had passed by, so the Rosh Yeshiva stopped and let the ambulance pass by, and only until it was out of the uh, range of sight, more or less, Rishiva then began to walk on to proceed home. So I asked Rishiva why he did it. So Rishiva told me he didn't want people to look at him and think that the Roshi was callous to the suffering of somebody else. Here, somebody's in the situation of danger. Maybe it could be a symptom. Maybe a woman's going to give birth to a baby on Shabbos, but still it's a situation of danger. And she's taking someone's in an ambulance, and they're taking them on Shabbos to a medical center. So he didn't want people to think that the Rosh was callous and ignoring the suffering of others. So similarly, you see the Alta from Kelm did the same. As the Polish funeral was passing by, he stopped out deference to the Polish funeral. Now, so the funeral passed on, and nevertheless, even though the funeral had passed on, the Alta from Kelm still stopped and did not resume his walk through Kelm. He stayed and stayed and he stayed, and it was an extremely long time after the funeral had already clearly passed out of view, even that the Alter finally began to move and began to continue his walk through Kelm. So the Talmidim asked him, Rebbe, why did you wait so long? We understand you stopped and waited out of deference for the peasant's funeral. But why so long after the funeral passed? Why did you wait and delay such a long time you walk? So he explained to them he was trying to imagine the tsar, the trauma that this Polish peasant's neshama was going through when it now left what we call Olam HaSheker, this world. Olam Hazeh is called Olam HaSheker, the false world. This is a false world. And now this Polish neshama is going to enter world of Emes, Olam HaEmes, living a whole life of Sheker. Now he's entering Olam HaEmes. He was trying to imagine the trauma that the soul of that Polish neshama was going through in its transfer from Olam Hazeh, which is Olam HaSheker, the false world, entering into a Olam HaEmes, the world of truth. And it took him a long time to try and imagine what that was like. So until he actually had a clear understanding of what that was like, he didn't want to continue his walk. Once he understood what it was like, then he continued his walk. So we see that this world, the derech eretz that a person has to adapt in living in this world, is going to be a derech eretz which is going to allow him to fulfill his basic human obligations, and also beyond that, his Torah obligations as well. And that's going to lead him to be successful. And that's obviously going to be a way to circumvent the necessity for the suffering of what we're talking about here in Gan Eden, and therefore he'll be available to go into Gan Eden, which is his reward for his good deeds in this world. Okay, very good. Any questions? Fine. Okay, so let's take a break, and we'll continue. Mr. Brewer will be in Kuf Samet Aleph, and then Mr. Brewer. Let's see. I want to transfer. I have to go home, so I'm gonna turn this Zoom off now, and we'll resume when I get home shortly. Okay.
Okay.
But 1 second. Let me just think that through. Let me think this through one more time. No, I'll tell you what. We'll keep let's keep it on. We'll continue here, and then I'll make the transfer at 10:30. That'll be okay. That'll be okay. Okay, good. So we'll be back on in 5-10 minutes, something like that, about 5 minutes or so.
Okay.
Good. Very good.
Okie dokes.
See you soon. Very good.
Mishnah.